Hello, my first graders. Today we're going to be doing poetry again. And before we get started, I kind of want to review what we did last week when we were talking about poetry to see if you remember what poetry is. So remember that we talked about poetry and how poetry, it comes in little groups of words. And we didn't call those little groups of words paragraphs. We called those stanzas. So if you look at my poster over here, I wrote the word stanzas and I even put what it meant. It means groups of lines within a poem. So when you see those groups of lines, you're going to know that they're not paragraphs, but they're called stanzas. The next thing I want you to remember about poetry is that you're going to see lots of rhythm and rhyme in poetry. Now, when I say rhythm, I don't mean like rhythm. I mean like it's kind of like the same amount of syllables in each sentence, or it kind of has a beat to it. And when I say rhyme, it means that not all the time, remember, poems don't always have to rhyme, but when they do rhyme, generally the last word in one of the lines rhymes with another word in another line. So that's what rhythm and rhyme. And the last thing I want you to know about poetry is a lot of times it has repetition. It doesn't mean it has to all the time, but sometimes it has repetition, which means it might repeat the same sentence or it might repeat the same word more than one time. So as we're reading the story today, I want you to be thinking about these things. I want you to be thinking about stanzas. Do I see stanzas? How many lines are in each stanza? Because remember, there might be 3 lines in this stanza and 3 lines in this stanza, or it might be 3 lines and 5 lines, 3 lines and 5 lines, because that's kind of like a pattern. So when we're reading the not story today, but the poem retreat today, I want to be thinking of stanzas.
So here's our poem, Pet Snake. Listen as I read it and try to be thinking, does it have any stanzas? No trace of fuzz, no bit of fur, no growing bark or gentle purr, no cozy cuddle, no sloppy kiss. All he really does is hiss. Do you see a stanza? I see one big stanza, and within that stanza, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. So this poem only has one big stanza. I don't see any little groups of words, which would be other stanzas. So it's just one big stanza. Now, do you see any rhyming words? Let me see. Fur rhymes with purr, and kiss rhymes with hiss. So yes, I see some rhyming words too.
So we just read the story Pet Snake, and as we're reading the story Pet Snake, you saw that it had one stanza, one gigantic stanza. And when we read that story, did it make you think of anything? Was it talking about any certain kinds of pets? I do remember that it said something about fur, and I do remember it said something about barking. And I think that a dog barks and a dog has fur. So I think he was comparing his snake to a dog, and I think he figured out that he likes his snake even though it can't do some of the things a dog can do. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story, or the poem actually, Pet Snake, and we're going to be talking some more about it tomorrow.